Okay. So NCSEA is a nonprofit organization based in Raleigh, North Carolina. It focuses on driving policy and market developments to create clean energy jobs, economic opportunities, and affordable energy that benefits all of North Carolina. It focuses a lot on public policy and market development, fostering a clean energy economy, and also increasing affordability and access of clean energy. And it does this through the use of strategic partnerships with members, working with legislators, and by performing analysis on clean energy systems, clean energy industries, and utility solutions as well. So a little bit about my role. I was an intern with the Energy Data Solutions team, or EDS for short. And the role of the EDS team is to collect and analyze data related to clean energy in order to support NCSEA's mission. And so there were multiple components to my role, one of which was my independent project, which I'm going to describe a little bit more in depth in a later slide. I also fulfilled some requests for other teams outside of EDS that involved lots of collaboration between the EDS team and the policy and communication teams within NCSEA. A big component was also learning and absorbing as much as I could. I attended a lot of meetings and just got a really good feel for how the organization operates. And some functions that I used in this role were QGIS and Tableau, mostly Tableau, which I'll talk a lot about later. So my mentors for this internship, one of them was Laura Langham, who is the Director of Market Innovation at NCSEA. She takes the lead on the EDS team and helps guide the efforts of the team members. And she has been a really great resource for project brainstorming. Another mentor was Daniel Pate. He is the Energy Program Manager, and he's also a core member of the EDS team. I worked a lot with Daniel to define a lot of the specifics regarding how my projects eventually took shape. So my projects developed quite a bit throughout the semester. It started out, we brainstormed this local level analysis of clean energy businesses. Because NCSEA performs a lot of functions that are relevant to the local level scale, we wanted to find a new way to inform these and other efforts. So we started out by looking at the city of Durham, and the idea was originally for some sort of census or observational analysis of clean energy businesses in Durham. And so the next phase of that project, I reached out to some key stakeholders. I began some correspondence with Ryan Reagan, who's the Vice President of Economic Development at the Durham Chamber of Commerce. And so I reached out in order to create this relationship between NCSEA and the Chamber, with the goal being to see what kind of data that the Chamber had on clean energy businesses, and to hopefully combine efforts. And that conversation ultimately ended up sparking a membership relationship between the two organizations, or a membership conversation between the two organizations. And so the final form that my project took was kind of an aggregation of local level data from a variety of databases that NCSEA uses, with the goal for it to be adaptable to a variety of end uses. And so I ended up creating some Tableau dashboards that they were like leaderboards for performance in a variety of categories, but that's focused in on specific local levels of geographic detail. So just to explain, or just to exemplify this, I'm going to show you the Tableau dashboard I created. This is just a GIF that I recorded and pasted into the presentation, but you can see it's highly interactive. And this is a clean energy business analysis of counties, but I also broke it down by congressional districts and municipalities. And so if you, for example, were writing a report on a county and you wanted to write about the performance in providing incentives for clean energy businesses, then you could use this tool to find out where it stacks up against other counties, for example. But I didn't just do this for clean energy businesses. There were lots of data sources available to me, so I did one. You can see this is just a different geographic level of detail for congressional districts, and also for municipalities, so I could see which cities were performing the best in terms of clean energy businesses per capita. But I also did this for other data sets like renewable energy projects. The REDB, Renewable Energy Database, is the big product that the EDS team manages. And so I had access to that to create this visualization. Oh, I think my screen just went away. Hold on, I'm gonna try to reshare my screen real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, can people see my screen again? Okay,
yes, we can see it.
Okay, so I also use these the REDB for these Tableau dashboards as well, and there were some really interesting insights that I found along the way. I also did this for alternative fuel stations, so like electric vehicle charging stations and hydrogen refilling stations, for example, to create more insights. And so a big component of this experience was understanding the behind the scenes side of things. And so this experience really allowed me to understand the operation of NCSEA and nonprofits in general. And I realized that there's a lot of team-based collaboration that went into this. The EDS team works together quite a bit to brainstorm and tackle their various objectives. Everyone on the EDS team does a little bit of everything, and so they really do a great job of maximizing their productivity by making use of individual strengths, which I really saw that shine through. There's a lot of other teams. For example, we held joint EDS meetings with other teams like policy and communications and development. And this is a really great opportunity to quickly and efficiently exchange ideas. Another component that I really saw play out was the brainstorming and innovation side of things. This was a workplace environment that really encouraged experimentation, and there was a big emphasis on trying new methods and ideas to see what could be done. And trial and error was a big component of things. So in addition to the really big skills that I picked up through this experience, namely Tableau, communication, and organizing professional meetings, for example, there were a few like sort of broad things that I kind of picked up from this experience. The first was fulfilling requests. I learned that it's really useful to ask for specifics and really make sure that you're maximizing the utility of the product that you create. It'll prevent time from being spent on creating insights that weren't useful, for example, or for creating extraneous insights. So that was a good learning experience. A huge part of this experience was creating partnerships. So I set up my first professional meeting that I was in charge of creating the agenda and making sure the right people were on the call. So that was definitely a first, and that's something that will be very valuable moving forward. Another component of this was learning on the job. Tableau was a completely new piece of software to me. I had never used it or touched it before this internship. I really made some progress on learning how to use Tableau. And I think that's an example of making use of readily available resources to really just maximize my time with the internship. Another thing that I kind of took away from this was the value of adjusting efforts and the value of trial and error. There were some parts initially about my project that I didn't see going super far. So I learned that it's important to understand and recognize when it's best to change course on a project and not to stay committed to an objective that you don't see panning out. But ultimately, the most important thing about that was the value of reaching out for help, because it's through that reaching out to my mentors that I ultimately just adjusted course and ended up creating a more productive end goal for the project. That's all I have for you today. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.